The big story has to do with the United States of America, the assertion, and the reactions we've been seeing from the federal government and the handlers of the presidency, as it were. Declarations by the president, even declarations by, would I say, our security officials, as it were. But let's start with this. Trump's threat. China, EU, ECOWAS back Nigeria. And of course, Nigeria saying it will emerge stronger. And China, being on the side of Nigeria in terms of saying, hey, this is not happening. ECOWAS saying the same. There's no religious genocide. But to start with, when you consider China, don't you see that we are putting ourselves, or we are in a very tight situation, considering the kind of clashes between China and the United States of America, the clash of ego, as it were, between both nations. And when we bring them into the argument of what's happening to Nigeria, how do you see things pan out? That's on the one hand. Of course, China also does not seem to be a country that has a good record internationally in terms of how it addresses the situation of Chinese Muslims. They are known as the Uyghurs. And it is considered that they're committing genocide and a lot of humanitarian, violence, as it were, against these Chinese in their country. So are they even a country that can speak when it comes to an issue like this on the international scene, and people will believe, considering what is recorded about them or reported about them within their own country? Let's start with this.
Okay, good. Let's take first thing first. Donald Trump, for me, is a bull in the China's chop as it stands today in the world in terms of international diplomacy, world economy, trade and commerce and all of that. And it needs to be managed and handled carefully by every nation, because he makes pronouncements and some of them it goes through with them. They might be very rational, they might not make any sense, but it goes through with them, and they are very catastrophic. Secondly, the issue of China and other countries that are saying, no, this is right, this is not right, you shouldn't go this route. Yes, that's correct. But you see, as Nigerians, I think those are just opinions that I think are good for countries to react to in terms of what is happening to Nigeria. Yes, but we know that these countries will not come true for us when it times maybe tomorrow Donald Trump decide to carry out his threat. Most of the time, all of these countries don't come out to say, no, we're going to defend you. No. So Nigeria must take its destiny in its hand. Then thirdly, you must also look at the aspect of this other, whether China is in the position to speak to such issues. Yes, I think China is, because China has shown over time that it's a country that is responsible in terms of taking care of the welfare of its citizens, in terms of taking
what about the Muslims within his country?
In terms of taking care of his economy, in terms of the welfare, the building of infrastructure in his country, and making provision for all that they need to survive. America would not be in the right position to start lecturing in China about this, because what you call democracy, what you call human rights and all of that, America has shattered everything as a result of what we see in Gaza. I mean, that has shattered everything. So America cannot lecture any country today in the world about human rights, about democracy, about how to conduct war or how not to conduct war and all of that. It is not in America's place. So I do believe that China has a right to speak up, because every country has its own internal mechanisms and how it works for it. The important thing is that, are you able to meet up the standard of human rights and ensure that you do not fall short of all of these standards?
Real quick, I need to turn to you, Chancellor. In terms of his assessment, what do you make of the whole situation, and particularly the reactions of the federal government to the assertion by Donald Trump? I mean, there's been, for instance, they're talking about the police in the news this morning, and in terms of their training facilities or training institutions, you have the president declaring emergency in police training institutions. That's one of the stories this morning. You have Dan Bazal blaming the police for Boko Haram insurgency. That's not doing enough, of course, being the reason for this. What do you make of all the reactions after Trump's assertion?
I believe very strongly that Trump is a bull in China's show. But I think God is using help for Nigeria from unexpected quarters.
You think God is in this?
Yes, because people are dying and our government has been helpless. We have to say the truth. And there have been genocide, yes. When? In the past. And it is still continuing. Do we have coloration for it? Yes, when it started. Is it still the same? No, it has been expanded. Both Christians, Muslim, any religion, they die now. But when it started, it was genocide targeted at Christians. That's why it's Boko Haram. That's why they are called terrorists in the first instance. That's why you call it ISWAP. So these are fundamental issues we must not deny as Nigerians. However, must America come and invade us? No. Capital no. Should America collaborate with Nigeria to defeat terrorism? Yes. We have to spell it out clearly. China is not defending Nigeria. China is defending its interests in Nigeria. So we should also ask ourselves, why is America interested in this issue now? Those are the questions we should ask. We should not deny the genocide. We should not deny that Christians are being killed and their villages being sacked in Benue, in Plateau, in Kwara State. These are realities that are online. Every Nigerian can just Google it. It will bring out the facts and dates. Google doesn't forget. However, we are saying no to invasion of any space in Nigeria because that will be tantamount to the same thing these Boko Haram people are doing on usurping parts of Nigeria. We should say no to that. But do we need military assistance to defeat terrorism in this country? Yes, we do. Our government over the last decade is not about Tinubu's administration. No. Even since Jonathan's era, when this thing was so pronounced, they have not been able to fight successfully and defeat insurgency that has gotten to the point of terrorism. They have not been able to successfully suppress or fight them. When Chibok girls were sacked, that was a Christian school, a Christian community. These people came back with hijab, and the whole world saw it broadcast live. Some of them are schooling in the US now. These are serious issues. As Nigerians, we must first admit that there are killings. What is the way out? We do not want our sovereignty traded for this. We don't want invasion of our territory. If US has military devices, whether software or hardware they want to give us, they should. If they have expertise they want to lend us, good. But invasion of our territory, we say no. That is it.
I want to just have something quickly.
Right.
I disagree completely with the word genocide.
Okay.
I think we should use that word in the context of the way it is defined internationally by the International Court of Justice, by the ICC, by the United Nations, and the rest.
Can you help us with that?
We should take that. We should take that that word in that context,
right.
Not just we use it the way we have. Everybody has used it, and for me, I think the people who are saddled or the institution saddled with saying there's a genocide here or there are maybe constituted body who have done an investigation and are able to say yes, this has happened and it is established.
But there's such reports. There are such reports.
Such
maybe not
reports
by the Nigerian government.
In
maybe
Nigeria.
Not by the Nigerian
Okay,
government.
by which government?
I will look up.
There's an
one of such
organization,
bodies.
Open Door.
Yes.
See, what organization? An NGO? Or
Just
what?
a moment. Let's. This is about terms now.
Yes.
How do we describe
my
the
point-
situation in Nigeria?
My point is,
Yes.
just like he has said,
Yes.
Nigeria is witnessing a lot of killings and there is no coloration to it.
So how do
There
we
is no-
define this
there's no
killings? How do we
religiosity.
define this killings? Let's not say religious genocide now,
Okay.
in terms of what the United States has been saying, because he has tried to give some context to it over time. How do we define it? Because when you look at the word genocide, it's saying a deliberate and systematic killing or persecution of a large number of people from a particular maybe nationality or ethnic group with the aim of destroying this group. I will now give examples. Let's go to Benue State, for instance. When the president went there, despite the fact that they tried to, that is from the federal government's part, they tried to define it as a farmer herders clashes. Those within that community said there, while the president was there, that it was not a clash between farmers and herders, but it was an attack by these herders on their communities to wipe them out.
Yes.
Will that not go in line with the definition of genocide
Good.
against those people?
Good. If that is to be defined as a genocide, based on what you have said.
Yes.
Then what happened in Zamfara? What do we describe them as? Because the death toll in Zamfara and Katsina is far more than what you record in Benue or Plateau. But because you don't have the media there showcasing all of it, then you don't give it the kind of attention it is. The thing is this: we must come to the realization that we have a problem in terms of losing of life. We are losing too much lives, and we should fight that. But for us to characterize it and give it that tag, according to Donald Trump, is unacceptable as far as I'm concerned, and it's not good for us. It's not good for our image. It's not good for us internationally. What Donald Trump did in saying that Nigeria is a country of concern is just one step to declaring Nigeria a terrorist state. And when he does that, it gives him all the license to do all that he wants to do with us. And we must not. I said something recently.
That's a question. It's not true.
I said something recently that if tomorrow Nigeria capitulates under this threat, the entire continent of Africa is under another colonization and slavery.
Jasoko, I want to get your reaction. Can two truths coexist? Can there be a report that there's genocide within some community in one part of the country and another part of the country, maybe it's not a genocide, maybe it's something else? Can both truths coexist? Because I saw you shaking your head while he was giving his assessment.
No. The fact that there are killings in Zamfara and Katsina State does not make it a genocide.
Right.
And it still does not dismiss the fact that we have genocide in Nigeria. That's the truth. So the killings, because to be classified as genocide, because I read all these things, the last 48 hours I've been doing researches on this. What can make them call it genocide? It must be ongoing. It must be systemic. It must be egregious to be able to classify it according to the international standard as genocide. So are this happening in Benue State? Are this happening in Plateau State? Yes. These things are happening. The settlers are admitting. There are many publications online. And the United States of America, forget about the character of Trump. They will have done their researches.
Is it happening in Zamfara?
I was leaving this same studio 3 years ago. A woman that calls on this program from overseas called me because we argued on this issue. She called me. She listened overseas and called. She is a security agent.
The Hausas and Fulanis are at daggers drawn in Sokoto, in Katsina, in Zamfara, and there's constant killing. So why are we not having that genocide?
What's the nature of that killing? That's the question here.
We are losing life. There are killings. But it is not about one religion or the other. It is not a coloration. If you have an outside, what is happening in Benue State, this back before our independence.
Right.
That's the history of that. We can start looking at it now.
Right.
But it's a long one. So we don't characterize this thing as
then we now ask, has government been able to do anything about it?
The government has its own fault in terms of not being able to tackle this problem adequately. I agree with that.
Gentlemen, we need to go on a quick break. Of course, so the next question I should have asked you is, based on all that's now played out, either genocide or not genocide, as we seem not to see eye to eye on this issue right now, is the government now doing the needful after the classification of Nigeria as a country of particular concern? And in terms of the reactions, are they justified? What you're seeing from the government right now, is it going to bring us the necessary result Nigerians want to see? That is an end to the killings. That's my next question to you, but we'll be taking reactions after this break.
Freshly pressed. We'll be right back.
Characterization of this thing as genocide for me is not going to help us because it is not our characterization. Let me see what is happening. It is not correct. That is not true.
Okay.
It is not true. Okay. The thing is this: yes, there are killings, but when you say there is a genocide in Nigeria and this tag sticks, it's not just United States, it's Europe, it's other countries, and they will tag Nigeria as a country of genocide. What are we talking about? What